Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you have watched all the previous videos up till now. So now we are gonna continue the interlevel questions. We are on question number 41. We have done 40 questions completely. We have done dry run of most of the questions. So I hope the logic is clear. I hope the concept is clear. So moving on. Write a Java program to print the Fibonacci series up to 10 terms using a for loop. So basically, what is a Fibonacci series? We need to know that first, right? I'll first write the series so I can explain in a better way. Fibonacci series, the term sounds scary, but trust me, it's not. It's very simple. Just basically, it means that the third value should be the sum of the first two values. So it will have at least three values, so that the third value is the sum of first two values, right? So if we have two terms, then only we can find the Fibonacci series for the terms. So let's start. As you can see, 1 is the sum of 0 plus 1, then 2 is the sum of 1 plus 1, then 3 is the sum of 2 plus 1, and so on. So we have a Fibonacci series. Alright, as you can see that the preceding value will be the sum of the two previous ones for any particular term. Alright, like let's take a random term, 55. 55 is the sum of 34 plus 21. Okay, so we'll do this. Now basically we have understood the logic. This is what we need to print. So now all we need to do is come up with a code. So what we are basically doing is that right now my first term is 0, then and my second term is 1. So I need to find the third term, which will be the sum of first two terms, that is first term 0 and the second term 1. So let's try to write the loop for it. We have to do it using for loop. So let's try to write the code for it. First we need to declare the number of terms also, that up till this can go forever, right? I can find thousands of numbers if I want to. So how many numbers do we need to find, right? First, it's given in the question 10. So one variable will be 10. Then as we discussed that we need at least two values to find the third one, because it's the sum, right? So the first value will be t1, which is in this case 0. Second value is t2, which is 1, right? And then we know that t3 is equal to t1 plus t2, right? So we now need to put it in the form of loop. This concept is clear, right? Now what do we need? That when we have gotten the first value of t3, so now in the next iteration of for loop, my t1 will be equal to 1, that is this number, then my t2 will be equal to 1, and then t3 will be equal to 2, that is again t1 plus t2. So basically I want to update my t1 and t2 in every iteration. It's that simple, right? So let's find it now. Let's put it basically in a syntax, in a code. For loop syntax we have discussed in detail in the loop video, right? So for int I is equal to 1, I is less than equal to 10, because number of terms. First we also need to declare variables. We'll comment this out. So we'll declare the variable that our number of terms is 10. So int n is equal to 10. Int n is equal to 10. t1, we are just going to declare t1 and t2, or we will declare t1 is equal to 0 and t2 is equal to 1. Okay, and we'll comment this out. So now we have three variables. My n is equal to 10, my t1 is equal to 0, and then my t2 is equal to 1. So we have these three variables. Okay, so now what we need to do is, if this is the condition, then I need to print T1 plus T2. That first my sum will be T1 plus T2. And then T1 will be equal to T2, right? The successive T2. T1 will be equal to the next term. If first my T1 was 0, the next T1 is 1, and then the next T1 is 1, then the next T1 is 2. And what's the next T2? If first it was 0 and 1, then it becomes 1 and 0. What was 1 in the first iteration? It was the sum, right? We'll also do a dry run. If you think it's a little confusing, once we are done with the code, we'll do a dry run of the code to understand it better. So don't you worry, just try to understand what we are doing. If not, I'm going to explain it again using a dry run, which will be much more clearer. So this is done now. Okay. For int I is equal to, now we have written the code. Let's run it. We have to print, system.out.print T1. Okay, so let's do this. We need to print it in the loop only because we need all the terms, right? We don't just need the last term, we need all the terms. But if you see, the 10th term was 55, so it's working, but we need it in the loop. Okay, where in the loop should I add this line? Just pause and think about it. Where in the loop should this line come? So those of you who said at the end, we are gonna do a dry run, but for now I'll tell you it's gonna come here. So let's run it now. As you can see, we have got our series till 34. Okay, now let's count 0 1 1 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. As you can see, these are 10 terms. What will happen if we print it here? Let's see. Those who said to print here, let's see. I got the answer from 1. Why did this happen? Now we are gonna do the dry run, and then you are gonna understand what's the difference between this and this. Okay, so let's do this. So first our T1 is 0 and our T2 is 1, right? Now for int I is equal to 1, I is less than equal to 10, I plus plus. System.out.println T1. What's the value of T1 right now? 0. The first term is T1, right? So it will print 0 for now. Then my sum will be T1 plus T2. What was my T2? T2 till now, there has been no update, right? So T2 is also 1. So T1 plus T2 will be the sum. That means the value of sum is now 1. Then my T1 is equal to T2. So what's the new T2? What's the new T1? T2. What was T2? T2 is 1, right? There's no say of T2 abhi tak till now. So T2 is 1, right? Then T2 is equal to sum. So what's the value of sum right now? Sum is 1. So now T2 is also 1. Okay. So now it goes back. I is still less than equal to 10, right? I plus plus. So I is now 2. Okay. So now T1 is now 1. So 1 will be printed. Then my sum becomes T1 plus T2. What's T2? T2 is 1. T1 is also 1. So my sum becomes 2. Then T1 is equal to T2. So my T1 becomes 2. And then T2 is equal to sum, which becomes 1 plus 2. That is 3. So is this clear? I hope it is. So this is how it will go on and on and on and on. And our values will keep on printing. Okay, so this is a dry run. Now when we this is the first code. Now when we started from here, just a second. Yeah, when we put the system.out.print here, what was happening was that my t1 becomes equal to t2, that is t1 becomes equal to 1. So when I print this, my t1 is already equal to 1, and that's why it started from 1, whereas this started from 0. But now we are done with the code. So question number 41 is done. Moving on to question number 42. Yeah. I hope these things are clear till now. If not, you can try to solve them again. Once you are done with this video, you can try to solve them again. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Question number 41. Write a Java program. Okay, we just did 41, right? So write a Java program to print the sum of first 10 natural numbers using a while loop. So this is actually, I think we have already discussed this somewhere or the other in the video. We have done, I feel like I have done this print first 10 natural numbers, first multiplication in the factorial, and then sum also, but we are gonna do it. It's simple. You all will be able to do it, don't worry. Okay, so we have to find the sum of we have to find the just a second. Yeah, sum of first 10 natural numbers using a while loop. Okay, the Replit is such a like a good online compiler, but this not for beginners, because you can see it's giving questions also now on its own. So yeah, let's do it. So while loop, we have discussed the syntax of while loop in one of our videos. You should go check it out in the loops video, which was I think lecture 4 or 3. You can check it out. But so we need first 10 natural numbers. So we need to declare a variable known as 10 n, whose value is 10. Okay, then we need to declare a variable sum is equal to 0. Why sum is equal to 0, why we are declaring another variable with a value, we have discussed all of this in one of our videos. I think beginner level questions only, so you can go check that out. And then I is equal to 1. Since this is while loop, we need to declare I also beforehand. In for loop, we can declare it while writing the loop, but we need to declare it beforehand in while loop. So while I is less than equal to n, sum is equal to sum plus I plus plus. So let's do a dry run of this code. Int n is equal to 10, sum is equal to 0, I is equal to 1. Till now we have just declared 3 variables, n, sum and I, with each of the values they are having. So while I is less than equal to n, I is right now 1. Is it less than equal to n? Yes, it is. Sum is equal to sum plus I. What's sum? Sum is equal to 0, right? This means nothing but sum is equal to sum plus I. So what's sum? Sum is equal to 0. What's I? I is equal to 1. So 0 plus 1, which will be equal to 1. So now the value of sum becomes 1. So let's forget all this, and the new value of sum, I hope you have understood. The new value of sum now is 1. Then I plus plus. So I now becomes 2. Now is I less than equal to n? Yes. Then sum is equal to sum plus I. Sum is 1. I is 2. So sum plus I. I is 2. So this becomes now 3. So the new value of sum is now 3. Similarly, I plus plus I becomes 3. Again, this goes on. 3 plus 3, 6. And so on. Then I becomes 4. 6 plus 4, 10. So as you can see, the added value is being stored in sum, right? That's why we are using sum. If we don't have sum, where are we going to store this new value? If we don't have sum, we do this and then I plus plus, we are simply going to get the numbers from 1 to 10. So we need to store the added value somewhere. We also need to print, we need to store the added value somewhere so that we can get our final sum, right? System.out.print ln, and then we are going to print sum. Okay, run. 55. So as you can see, 55 is the sum of first 10 natural numbers. So our code is right. If you want, you can see each iteration by simply writing it here. If we write it within the loop, so the sum after each iteration will be printed. So as you can see, first the sum was 1, then 3, then 6, then 10. We discussed till here right now in the dry run of the code, and so on the code goes on. But since we only need the final, we are gonna write it outside the loop. "55. Now let's move on to the next question. Next question is, write a Java program to check if a given string is palindrome. What does this mean? So palindrome strings or numbers are basically, if I'm talking about palindrome's number, that means that even when I reverse it, it's same, like 101. If I reverse it, if I write from, instead of left to right, if I write it from right to left, what is it? 101, right? Similarly, 110011 again is 110011. If I write it front or back, it's gonna be the same. Similarly, palindrome strings are string values or words that are basically like this, like refer. So REFER, even when I write it backwards. So palindrome string, it remains the same on reading from both ends, right? Let's see examples. These are all the examples of palindromes. There are like these. There are many more examples. These are some examples for palindrome string. You can check it out. Radar, level, all these are palindrome strings. Okay. So now basically, what the question is saying, that we need to check if the string is a palindrome or not. So basically, we need to first have a string, right? Now let's say I have a string A, B, C, D, E. I need to then reverse the string. So E